Welcome to the show, presented by, I'm your host, Vince Douglas Gregory. Are we in? Got an answer? I have an answer. Can you really trust the experts? Maybe. Long answer? Wait for it. It's a coming. And can you or can fail in MLB? Can they expand? Can they basically add? There's an answer for that as well. And trust me on that. That is attention. But I'd say, we are in the age of sport on the go. We can already get sport on the fly. There's so many different platforms used to spew their truth. One can use to conjugate with other like minds agreeing on the same thing, relevant or no matter how relevant it is. With all of these factors there, and with me presenting all of these factors, how can sport not be on demand? How can we not already be in the streaming services are paying through the roof to get certain leagues, to just get the rights to having sport, period, because they with someone else and that is magical in the moment, but not really watching it, not like recorded, and even then you're still watching, you're still tuned in. It's just future to the back. Your time, regardless, you are getting them eyes unseated. Can't necessarily be replicated unless it's a back-to-back over or a mulligan where, wait, what was going on? What was happening? What we need a do-over right now at this exact moment. ATM. And even if the results necessarily wouldn't be the same unless it was a powerhouse going up against a cupcake. A powerhouse up against a cupcake stands no chance, and we expect 100 out of 100 times that powerhouse to destroy sports. And the reason why we tune in, those of us who like sports, it's one of the reasons why we tune in, because we know that any given day can win. The opposing team can win. If that wasn't the case, we wouldn't tune in to begin. We created a computer program and let the computer program just like, yeah, I like these ones and zeros. They tickle my fancy. Because we know I'm together, he's still a zero. Unless it's a hero, an H, but age of sport demand. Because not only that you can't, that each time it's going to be played, it's going to be different, it's going to be something new, not necessarily improved, but something unique. Having the devices, having the platforms that's readily available to the fan, to the journalist, to the sports player, to everyone involved that can amplify people who think alike. They can form a think tank. I'd suggest you don't. Free to do you. Whatever works for you, but know that advice was free and it was there. These platforms, you can amplify or mute your voice. You can say what you say. You can spit negotiable facts or plain out myths. You can do that, and you can do that amongst other people. You can increase that shared experience, that unique shared experience. You're playing the game again, and even if you're playing it again, there's gonna be different results. You got to those results, and that is definitely the age of sport demand. How can that not be on demand? Sport on demand, because you can get it when you want, you can see it when you want, you can put all this information out there when you want, you can read, intake this information whenever you want to be consumed. There, and it's not as if this process just not occurring at the minute, at the second, at the everybody else, different part of the world, different time, putting something else out. It is constantly turning, it is constantly going, it is constantly there, and this is definitely, the platform is there. The sport is there. The people that aren't there and don't really appreciate this are, you got it. And even then, there's a glitch in the matrix, and they appreciate it for what it is. And they to what we think is true, and it happens. And that goes back to any given match. Win an opposing team, any given match, the opposing team can win. And that's why I have to say, trust the experts. Hey, in this age, unless you're about that life, unless that is centuries ago, then I suggest you probably shouldn't trust the expert. Whatever information you need, and form your own opinion. Get all the information you need. All the information people who think the same way that you think. Shh, you did it from me, but you can say you got it from me. But I would want different opinions. I would want different point of view. You do you, I do me. And if we both somehow think and come out the same way when we process information, be it so. But some of these so-called experts that just get the name expert tagged to their name just because they're a former player, a former something that we should deem important, that is a fallacy. You need to know what the word fallacy means. Just know that bad, not good. I can explain it. Just because someone used to play a sport and they opinion on the sport doesn't make them an expert. It makes them a person with certain insight that they can bring on behind the scenes. But you don't necessarily need to play a sport to be good to great at the sport. Play a sport to be one of the book or anything like that. So if that's the case, it doesn't take an expert player to be an expert to begin with. Don't fall in that trap, peeps. Don't fall for the okie doke. And this is something that you can put my name to it and say, where you get, somebody asks you, where you get that from? You can say, I got it from him. And that's me. You can say you got it from me. That is okay. I'll wear like that bird as because I got an angelic bird-like voice. I'll make my chest pop and I'll do the dance. And that's why you really can't trust the experts. Understand that the experts are human. They're human. A few might be robots. Well, robots have feelings too. I don't know about the people, and I can't change that definition. No matter how bad definition, I can't change that definition. Therefore, we're gonna have to go with 2. And so some of these might be robots. Some of them might trust the opinion because someone throws the title or throws the word expert to it. On demand with sport, anyone can take the title. Anyone can put the title on their name, on a device, on a letter, yeah. Or you get it. Expert is just basically somebody that's been doing it for a super duper, but they can get it wrong too. They can get it wrong more often than not as well. It does not to have an opinion. It doesn't take an expert to have an opinion. We all do it, but there's things and there's put to me, I just look at it and be like, that'd be something. Then I start thinking about it. Then I start going down all these rabbit holes, and then I start getting all these informations, and then else's rabbit hole. Go down your own rabbit hole. Go down your own rabbit hole. Like expanding the amount of teams, expanding the number of teams in the NBA, taking it from 30 to another number. And I'd say the demand for sport and having it in your face and having people having it drive just about everything in a lot of the public spaces. But when you look at it, truly, 30 teams, how many of them truly have an opportunity of winning National Basketball Association trophy. You know, the championship at the... We made that. We made that. That. There's only that you can possibly just count on one hand each and every year that actually have. And then from that one hand, you can take a couple of fingers, probably maximum 3, but realistically say 2, they actually have a legit shot of winning. And everybody else, you're like, yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. It'll be cool to watch. It'll be cool to watch because of the large number of teams actually challenging, a large number of teams actually having an opportunity. You better use one hand for that. You better use one hand, and you possibly need the 3. And if you are going above and beyond that, it's because one team has the second best player on the planet or the 3rd best player on the planet. And after that, in basketball, teams can win. But the team that are system, the team that is built for greatness, build for greatness. Not that many teams of the 30 can build for greatness. To the mix. For what? When the league itself is actually trying to take away games. And what I mean take away games, so that the players, the star players, these players that I just spoke of, the game changers, the one that you want to see, the superstar, some of the best in the planet, the top 3 in the planet, and so forth and so on, to be able to play to get their team to the promised land, which is in winning, and adding more games, and having more teams, more opportunities to be injured, more chances to be hurt, because trying to get body having proper recovery time is a no. Sure, this is not science, and you can add that to the mix. You can add that to the mix, and that brings in the maintenance days, the maintenance games, and that rubs some. This player play, but I can't see him play because he's got this maintenance going on. He's refreshed to make that playoff run. He wants to be fresh during the playoff run, and the other amount of excuses that go along, some are legit, but I'm not judging. And with all of that, the league itself is on an innovative tip. They're trying to look at ways of how to be something that's enjoyable for everyone. Hopefully, adding a tournament mid-season. My main question about adding a tournament, because if it's just gonna bring more money, I'm sure the players, some be healthy, and some players will want to rest, and so they can make that push and make that run, and fingers crossed, win an NBA championship. A couple of fingers of teams that actually have a legit shot of winning. This mid-season tournament money factor is gonna have to be beneficial to not only the player, but the fan. Because why wouldn't a team just shut it down? Why wouldn't a team just field the G League? Why wouldn't a team just field some other players and like, hey, you know what? You go play. This isn't gonna help us get to the playoffs, and blah 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 blah. And that's why I believe adding more teams to the 30 in the NBA. Nah, I don't guess I will entertain this because, you know, I don't think. Maybe, just maybe, but even so. And the problem with MLB, you have a lot of teams within those for other teams, meaning that all of the players on their roster, teams, bigger teams or medium teams or teams that just want to get over a hump or team a little bit, they will come in and take the players off of that team that's been playing, grab them and snatch them up. You have that going on. You have other teams that the bare minimum just to have a team in the city, just to have a team, but far as competing, nah, keeps them afloat. The revenue sharing, the sales keeps them afloat. The attendance to the game somewhat, but it doesn't matter because of the TV revenue and all of the other revenue sharing, it helps them out. So they don't care. They don't care. They're just there to fill a void, to fill a spot. They're an empty suit, basically. Just there. You see them. You understand bringing anything else to the table other than existing and fueling. You have the other teams that actually want to win. The other teams that pump in the money or be there to actually make the playoffs, to actually make it the playoffs, the variance and all the other factors that you can't really guess of the dice. It's like the roll of the dice. You get in, you just want to roll them dice. You get in, you just want and pumping in money and making sure that you have every basis covered will help out in the long run. And you have that. You have the halves. You have the middle. And you have the ones who don't give a flip. I didn't say the have-nots. I said the ones that don't give a flip. And then you have the farm league. And you have those, and you're talking about adding or wanting to add more teams. If anything, I'd suggest subtract. If anything, make that number from 30 go in the opposite direction. If you're adding, make sure you're adding negative numbers and try and go for it. To the ones that try, but they still are competitive and they still would like to compete and want to compete. That everybody is the same. No. This is MLB. This is baseball. Just you spend the least amount of money doesn't necessarily mean you can't win. There are many and multiple examples that I can throw out there for you. New York Yankees, Boston Red Sox, St. Louis Cardinals, Kansas City Royals, Atlanta Braves. I mean, so to think there's just one way to win and to think that you usually win, like that's not the case in baseball. Baseball is a different animal. It's a different beast. And hopefully that you constructed the team well enough that the odds of you to win it all comes up more often than not. That's the only thing that you can focus on concentrating on when it comes to MLB, baseball, however you do that. That is truly something that you can do anyway, assuming care. I ain't say you got to be a Care Bear and do your Care Bear stare. I'm not make an attempt. So adding or expanding MLB, not NFL. Is it possible? Could they do it? Anything's possible. Could they do it? Yeah, they could do it. Will they do it? Probably not. NFL problem is fourfold, fivefold, tenfold. I got it. Here it is. The NFL problem is multiple fold. It is multiple fold. Because it's like this. And there's okay, how about this? A handful of the owners of the 30. You don't have to run it the same way, but you have to have an inkling of how to be successful when it comes to. It's not many that understand that. It's not many that gets that right. First off, you actually have to put in what you don't know. Work. And when you understand what you don't know as a franchise, other things, it'll be easier for you to accept a lot of other things and come to you and everyone else. And once all of that's out of the way, roster. And here comes a main problem. Because with the NFL, the NFL teams, is dependent. It's a quarterback-driven league at this point because the competition committee made it as such. The competition committee made it as such to be more exciting and being more exciting and being more offensive-driven. It's lean that direction, that's not boring, that's taking the ball over, that's scoring touchdowns, that's very athletic, and be able to do when the rule changes happen because you basically can't touch a receiver. Across the middle. What going across the middle and getting hit, you get them alligator arms. You get them alligator arms, you don't really. A safety thing. It's a safety protocol because of the concussion. It's the repetitive blows. It's the, okay. The documents are out there. Don't worry. But with the league, the defense was going to suffer. The defense really didn't suffer. So the defense in having good or somewhere in between, depending on which way you start from, that isn't going to be the limiting factor when it comes to being a successful NFL team. You can have a mediocre defense and be okay. Offense is a different story. And also, once again, it depends on you knowing what you don't know and you having a strategy and you're constructing your team to a certain strategy strategy and having it available. Best team for that. So the defense, depending on how it's structured, it won't be the limiting factor. The off, that's going to be the problem. That's going to be the issue. If you're going to be a running team, be a running team. If you're going to be hey, let's throw the ball all over the place. Be inclement weather. And if you do, you better have a game changer at quarterback. You better have a game. Just build a dome. Move somewhere. Move up out of the city. Move to the sticks. Built, and then you can throw the ball all over the field. Then you can play fast to the weather of whatever city you're playing in, or have a quarterback that can be regardless of the weather, regardless of the coach, regardless of the scheme. Basically, one of those generational talents, and that becomes the way they structure. They don't admit to what they don't know, and they try to put triangles in rectangles. They try to put blocks. You get problem. There are 32 teams, but there aren't 32 Hall of Famer, 32 All-Pro, 32 All-NFL talented quarterbacks in the league to overcome the deficiencies on defense. And that's where the problem lies. To be two hands of decent quarterbacks, and of the decent, probably one, the ones that you can plug in anywhere and it doesn't matter. They will overcome every deficiency imaginable. Every deficiency, many of them. And if you got 32 teams, you ain't got that many. So you got one hand, 32, and you do the math. And with only two hands, you have those going to be competent. The other 32 are trying to find a game change. The others are trying to find the deficiency, overcome the problems of the defense, overcome the problems with the offense, have to be perfect. And if that's not the case, everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be working together. We're all on the same page, pulling in the same direction factor, and not every so often you would have a team with a quarterback go to the Super Bowl and win it. Why is that the case? Because everything else was able to overcome that limitation. Outstanding. Everybody else on the team are game changers. Everybody else on the team are world beaters, and they know their part, they know their situation, and they run it to the league, and everybody else can't overcome that. And to factor in any given match as well. Any given match as well. And that doesn't happen as often. And that's why the time the upper echelon of quarterbacks are usually there more often than not and beat each other up. I mean, not physically beat each other up, but beat each other in the game. But we give them credit. And adding to, when there's not enough QBs, quarterbacks, that can overcome that's a recipe for disaster. So even with this being the age of sport demand, where we can get anything, to trust the experts and follow the experts' opinions because we have our own, and we can just go to MLB, to NBA, to the NFL. We do not need to add more teams, because with all of this stuff and all the other different sports that we can factor in and look at and get knowledgeable on, why would anyone? And that's a question that I leave for you. And that's a question that why?
At this time.